Hi, it's Laura back to talk more about Francois Gagnier's DMGT model and how it looks with diverse populations. As a quick refresher, Gagnier's differentiated model of giftedness and talent classifies giftedness as something that comes naturally, an innate ability in the top 10% of individuals, and the talent is developed. Having the talent implies you have a gift, and it is developed using catalysts that will create that giftedness into talent. One of the key components of Gagne's DMGT is that giftedness is also high achieving. And because of that, he has a whole category of what he considers underachievers. And this is students with disabilities. So this could include disabilities that a unidentified gifted person has, keeping them from being identified. It could be a gifted person with disabilities, or it could also be learning disorders or ADHD and autism, socioeconomic factors like living in a rural community or being low SES and having poverty or generational poverty in your makeup, cultural diversity, things like being an English language learner or having being part of an indigenous person, something like that, that would create your different culture at home than from school. Socio-emotional factors such as attachment problems, foster care, those sorts of things, maternal depression, he even thinks of as being something that could impact an underachiever, and educational mismatching, which is when students are with their age peers and not their mental peers, and that causes them to underachieve. So in his model with gifted underachievers, their underachievement is just them not developing their gifts into talent. It is not the not the factors that are coming to it. It's more of a inside there sort of thing. As a reminder, here is a flow chart for how Gagne's DMGT works. And this is the 2.0 version, which is a little more detailed with chance and different categories separated out. And so you can see there are the domains, that is the natural ability or the gift. There are the catalysts, environmental, intrapersonal, and developmental. And then there are the competencies or the talents. And that is what the catalysts create out of the gifts, giving you that highly skilled individual. There is a lot of inequity within the catalysts, but Gagne's belief is that underrepresentation does not exist within his programs because they are merit-based. And obviously, this is a fallacy because there's inherent bias to all of these, and there's inherent bias for an opportunity for inequity, especially in the catalyst component of the model. So to focus more on the catalyst barriers, I have zoomed in quickly on the catalyst portion of the flow chart so you can see a little more in depth what we're talking about here. Environmental catalysts, when it comes to the individual, there is teacher bias. So studies show that minority students and girls are often passed over because of teacher bias. Then you have provisions in the catalysts of environmental, which include enrichment and pedagogy and grouping and all of those sorts of things. And if a student is from an economically disadvantaged background, they can have weaker support systems outside of school. That means they don't see that enrichment that comes from higher SES families with intelligent kids that they then nurture and foster that. The intrapersonal would include goal management, where we again have teacher bias as to how certain education groups do or do not approach their education, and then outside pressures coming from responsibilities and things that have to do with outside or other behaviors that would keep a student from being able to have those executive function skills and set those things like goals. To become more inclusive in this model, some of the ways that could happen would be to eliminate that mindset that only the highest achieving students are successful as gifted students, and recognize that gifted students can also be underachievers. You have gifted students who don't fit that high achieving mold. Then you could separate the non-educational barriers to learning and achievement from the identification process. So taking out the socioeconomic or cultural statuses that are not really measuring specifically the intelligence of the individual. And of course, providing accommodations for the needs of the underachievers instead of just saying, well, it's on you because you're not trying, which is essentially what his model does. So Gagne's differentiated model of giftedness and talent is not a model that embraces inclusion or equity. Too many of the factors that allow gifted students to develop those gifts into talents are left to chance, making the model too narrow in scope for today's gifted services. Developing one's gifts into talents should be the end goal of every gifted program and can be done more inclusively through other models and theories. And here are my sources. Thank you very much.